Hi everyone, let's try that again. We had a little wireless problem going on there. So thank you all for hopping on the line and for supporting me. So some of you know I'm a little bit nervous about this one. I've been gearing myself up to do this live for a little while, and I got really excited about hi Simon, hi Janet, thanks for hopping on. I got really excited, hey Beck, I got really excited about starting to play bigger. And yet today I woke up and I had a fever, a sickness, and I've had a headache all day. Like, my body is just resisting the crap out of me opening myself up for this, and unearthing something that has been a source of shame for me for a little while, a long while. So in my work, hey Aileen, in my work, I'm all about positive energy. You know, about loving who you are, creating a happy, healthy life for yourself through conscious choices and through embracing the best version of yourself. And I know that a lot of people feel that they can't have access to this because either they don't know how to be happy in themselves or they can't see how life can be different for them. So I want this live to serve as evidence that there is light and there is dark in every single one of us. I always pinpoint my journey into holistic health as me treating myself naturally with PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, which I was diagnosed with last year, and treated myself naturally through diet and lifestyle. But actually the reality is, hey Sophie, the reality is I've actually been transitioning into holistic health for about a decade because I've been expanding and nurturing myself, mind, body and soul for the last 10 years, and actually longer than that. So when I was 15, I started self-harming. I can't really remember how or why it started. Hey Callie, can't remember how or why it started, but it continued up until my early 20s. I've always felt quite disconnected and kind of the odd one out, and very underwhelmed by life, and had an insecurity about not belonging. So self-harming was a private outlet for me to attend to and access control over what was a very deep and confusing emotional pain, which I had to find some form of tangible expression for. And I did find relief and actual enjoyment in doing this, in the process. You know, at school when I was, 15, 16, I would actually look forward to getting away from the noise, to going home and being alone, back into my safe place of, control and peace that I could self-harm. And the last time I self-harmed was, I think I was 21, and it was in my final year at university. I sliced my leg so badly that I could barely walk. It was absolutely agonizing. And in all of this, the whole way through my teens, since I started age 15, my mother had been my absolute saving grace in all of this. When she first saw the cuts on my arms and my legs, instead of going full pelt into the horror show of what this was, she put aside her horror as a parent and chose to provide me with the love and the support that I needed, and to help me get the help that I needed. So yeah, whenever I relapsed as an adult, she was very matter-of-fact about it and had she had absolutely zero judgment. So age 21, when my grandmother had just died in my final year at university, I had to ring my mum the day of the funeral and ask her to bring bandages, which my mother did, and she helped me dress my wounds in the disabled toilet. But at that time, sorry, I'm just a bit nervous. At that time, I became very present to the injury that I had inflicted upon myself and how bad it was. And I decided that there was another way, and I decided to stop self-harming. But actually, during my 20s, I continued to self-harm in other ways, through drinking, through smoking, through drugs, through sex, through toxic relationships that I decided to stay in. And actually, as a person, my top value is feeling alive. As a 50% spirit junkie, 50% party girl that I always describe myself as, that's totally what I'm about. I love diving into the ocean. I love feeling the sun on my skin. I love catching sunrises, catching sunsets, going to festivals, dancing all night with my friends, and yoga and meditation, traveling far and wide, all that wanderlusting. And connecting with others on a real soul level, passionate relationships. And I love exhilaration, I love fiery energy, I love heart racing, electrifying moments, and really feeling my place in the world. So this is all lightness, but actually in life, it's all about balance and opposites. It underpins everything in our world. We've got night and day, we've got summer and winter, we've got up and down. So for all of the kind of exhilarating highs that I was chasing, hey guys, hey Izzy, hey Joseph, with all the exhilarating highs that I've chased during my life, I've also had to endure and in fact relish. Thanks, Jess. I've either had to endure and relish crashing lows of my darkness. So in reality, actually, self-harming activities for me have actually been a romantic vehicle for me to access and feel a heightened sensation of human life, even though it was completely agonizing pain. So even though I've moved beyond the acts of self-harming, anxiety has still been a really real thing for me. I've woken up before, crying and having such pain in my chest that I feel like I can barely breathe, and feeling so disconnected and removed, and perceiving myself, what I've realized now, not just worse than other people, but actually sometimes better than other people, both of which just remove me from the present moment and really enhance that sense of disconnection. So and also contributing to me being in a constant state of judgment of myself, all the shoulds that we have in our life, all the I should be this, I should be more of this, I should have achieved more of this and stuff. So for years I've sat in that self-judgment and that shame about my self-harming, thinking that if people knew, then they would think that I was crazy or weird, or that I needed to be locked up. And it would certainly it didn't fit in with the identity of myself that I wanted to put out there. And in reality, as I've begun to open up a little bit more about this and to my friends, it's become apparent that the person who sits in the most judgment about it is in fact me. And I've got to the point where I've asked myself, how can I be of service to others when I can't even open up about myself? And how can I tell a girl experiencing what I've experienced that it's okay if I don't think that what I did was okay? So looking at me and where I am now, you wouldn't necessarily think that this is where I've come from. I myself don't even really think about this too much. It's not something that comes into my day-to-day. But I do realise now that it's not as uncommon as we perceive. Hey guys, I can see lots of people hopping on. Thank you for joining. It's not as uncommon as I perceive. Every day there are people out there suffering in silence, whether it be self-harm, anxiety, eating disorders, stress, any form of mental disorder. Thanks, Kelly. And generally just feeling entirely lost and confused as to why they feel like this, and thinking that they're the only one, because that is how I felt. For literally a whole decade when this was happening, I thought that I was the only person in the world that felt like this, and that I was the weirdo in the world, and that there was no way for me to ever feel part of it. And it's just not true. And, these people need to know that they're not alone, because they're not the only person to endure this. And I know firsthand that is the case. That's where I've come from, and I know firsthand that I've come through that, and I continue to do the work each day. So other people who stand in judgment of any of this, about any form of mental health, also have the opportunity to educate themselves. I've sat in conversations where people have called people who self-harm crazy, or think of it as being totally insane. The world actually needs more people to step up about things that have affected them in their lifetime, and to speak their truth about where they've come from, because we do live in a judgmental society. And as we open up about things that we have experienced, especially when we come through the other side and we are on the surface completely normal, regular human beings, we actually have an opportunity to take people out of feeling so alone. So yes, I can be a bit weird, I can be a bit crazy, but I'm certainly not insane, and I never was. So, you know, what I did of self-harming was actually what was most available to me at the time, what I knew best. Asserting control over confused and painful emotions, it allowed me to operate on a day-to-day level, and it allowed me to be a confident, strong, together kind of person, even though beneath all of that, that's not how I felt. So if anything, it doesn't really make me weird, it makes me quite resourceful. So that's my kind of beautiful and gritty getting truth share about mental health, and about how I have now arrived at a place in my life where I am finally able to embrace all of my light and all of my dark, and also be able to say how that exists in all of us. You know, we are all perfectly flawed, and that is what makes us all perfectly unique in our contribution to the world. So thank you for those of you who've hopped on with me. I was extremely nervous opening up about this. So I really do appreciate you guys hopping on the line, and I'm really looking forward to sharing more about mental health over the next few weeks and over the next year's lifetime, because it's something that I'm really, really passionate about contributing to. So thank you all, and yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.